Hello and welcome to Teach and Tech's OS X screencast series. Today I'll be covering the nitty-gritty basics of OS 10.6 Snow Leopard. This screencast is designed for new Mac users, so I'll do my best to use easy to understand terminology and some fun examples that you can follow along with at home. The first thing I'm going to show you in OS X is the dock. And the dock is located at the bottom of your desktop and it's filled with all of these pretty icons. Now, the icons will be different on your Mac because I've configured the dock to meet my needs. However, there are two icons in the dock that will never move. And the first one is the Finder, which is located on the left side. And the Finder is the file management application in OS X. It lets you copy and move files, rename them, open files, that type of thing. And over on the far right is the trash can. And the trash can is like the recycling bin in Windows. It's a safety net, so if you were to delete a file and then later realize that you needed that file and you shouldn't have deleted it, you can pull it out of the trash can and restore it to its original location. Underneath the Finder icon, you'll notice a little blue dot. This dot indicates that that application is currently running, and Finder is always running in the background. Now if I was to open, let's say Safari, you'll notice it'll start to bounce to let us know that it's loading, and then there'll be a little blue dot underneath it here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close Safari by going up to the Safari menu up here and clicking Quit Safari. Okay, now if there's an application that you're running that currently isn't in the dock, it will be added to the right side of the dock in between the trash can and whatever icon you have over here. And then it'll be removed automatically once that application is closed. So we'll come back to the dock in a bit and I'll show you how to configure that. For now we're going to go up to the menu bar, which is located at the top of the screen. And the first icon you see here is a little apple, and that's the Apple menu. So if I click on that, it's going to bring a drop-down menu with a bunch of core system functions. And I'm not going to touch on all of these. I'm only going to show you a few of them because a lot of these aren't things that you'll be using every day. The first one here is the software update. That's used to update the operating system itself and any Apple software you have installed. Next one I'm going to show you is the system preferences. It contains like a control panel for the system. It allows you to configure how the operating system runs, view options, and other things. I'll show you that in a later screencast. Recent items contains applications and documents that you're currently using or ones that have been used in the past. The bottom three here are sleep, restart, and shutdown. They should be fairly familiar with anyone who's ever used a computer before. Sleep will put your Mac to sleep and save power. All you have to do is move your mouse or press some keys on the keyboard and your system will be right back where you left off. Restart, of course, restarts the system, and shutdown shuts down the Mac, and you will have to allow it to boot up next time you want to use it. Logging out of the current user at the bottom, that's only used if you have more than one user on the Mac, something that not a lot of people do, but if you have a family, you want different users, that can be used to log out so the other user can log in. The next thing you'll see up at the top is the File menu. And the File menu will change depending on which application is currently in use. Right now we don't have anything else open, so the Finder file menu system is shown at the top. Now if I open up Safari again, you'll see the Safari shows up in bold and all the menus change to represent those of Safari. So the name in bold is the title of the application that's currently selected. And if I go to Safari, if I click on that, that's how I close an application. It's just by going down to the bottom and selecting Quit. Finder, of course, there is no Quit menu because it always has to remain open. So moving along here, we'll go over to the right. There's a bunch of icons over here. The first two I'm not going to talk about because these are ones that I've added myself and they don't come with Mac OS X. But the first one I'm going to touch on is these little waves, and that's the airport utility. That's used for connecting to wireless networks in your home, office, wherever you may be in the park. So if I click on this, oops. It gives me a drop-down menu. The first thing that it shows is the status of the airport, whether it's on, off, searching for networks. And the first choice I have is to turn the airport on or off, just a very simple toggle. Underneath that are all the available wireless networks within range. It will show me the name of the network here, as well as whether or not the network is secured, and that is indicated by a lock. So if you see a lock, you're going to need a password to access that network. And beside the lock are the little waves, and that is an indication of the signal strength of that network. So now I want to go ahead and connect to the Hawker's network, and I'm going to do that just by clicking anywhere on that highlighted area. And now it's going to ask me for a password because it had that lock. So I'm going to go ahead and type in the password that I was provided with. Now I want it to remember this network, so in the future it will automatically connect. I won't have to enter this password. So make sure that's checked. I click OK. It's going to connect to the network. And now notice these bars have gone solid black. So that lets me know that I'm connected, as well as my current signal strength. And beside the airport icon is the battery indicator. Now this isn't going to show up obviously if you're using a desktop Mac, because you're going to be plugged directly into a power source. But for MacBook users, this will give you all your battery and charging information, how long you have left in your charge, what your current power source is. Right now here I'm using the power adapter. That's basically all that's used for. The next icon, the speaker, that's your volume control, and it's just a simple slider. We can increase our volume or decrease it by sliding it down. Then we have our clock. Really not much to say about this. It can be configured. You can configure to show the entire date, just the time. You can even use an analog clock, which is pretty much useless. So we'll just switch that back to digital. And the last icon we have here is Spotlight. That's this little magnifying glass right here. Now Spotlight is probably the most powerful feature in Mac OS X. And Spotlight is a system-wide search. It's used to search for any kind of file, application. It can be used to search for email, basically anything, any type of file that's on your Mac, Spotlight can find it. So I have a file called Where Am I on my Mac, and I don't know where it is. So I'm going to type in Where Am I? And when I do that, you'll immediately see search results populate, and you'll have a top hit up here, and that is simply the file that OS X thinks you're looking for, which in this case it is. And all other hits are shown down here. They're also separated by category: documents, PDF documents. So I'm going to go ahead and click on top hit. This will open up that document. Here it is. Where am I? You'll see I have just the contents, hello people. Now, one of the nice features about Spotlight is that it will search both file contents and file name. So if I click on Spotlight again here, it does actually saves my search until I clear it, which I'm going to do now. I just click this X to erase that. And I'm going to type in hello people. And when I do that, I don't have a top hit because OS X isn't quite sure which file I'm looking for, but the document Where Am I is shown at the top. So it shows that it is searching inside the documents. So now I can close text edit,